So let's talk channel news, giveaways, and video production schedules, and perhaps most importantly, speculation on Reddit as to whether or not Auspex Tactics sleeps. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're doing a quick channel update, including a look at a Reddit post that I did find kind of fun. We'll talk about how videos have been doing over the past month or so, what's coming next for the channel, the winners of last month's giveaways, and a very big Combat Patrol giveaway for this month. There's definitely plenty to talk about. First up though, I thought I'd just share a fairly funny Reddit thread that I read, actually sent to me by someone who doesn't play Warhammer whatsoever, but just kind of noticed it around about a week or so after it came out. It does feel a little bit surreal when you get a question like this pop up and it looks like 1,000 people or so have upvoted it, speculating on your sleep patterns. The OP in this one says that given I was making about 3 videos a day, roughly how much do you think Auspex Tactics is sleeping? Speculating it might be around about 5 hours at the moment. That was followed up by a whole load of people talking about PowerPoints, Patreons, YouTube, or telling me I'm an AI or servitor or something. I do find Reddit quite a useful place for feedback, to be honest, as people just say what they want. I feel like generally in your own comments you tend to more get people who are actually engaged and want to watch the channel, whereas it might just be other random people who might or might not find your content interesting. So maybe you get a bit more of a broad demographic of opinions there. As noted by a bunch of people, it is basically my full-time job at the moment, so say around about 8 hours a day is often at least fairly reasonable. It really depends on just how much busy news is coming out, particularly over the launch of 10th edition it has tended to be more than that, often without many breaks for doing other stuff on other days either. The main issue with 10th edition has just been so much content dropping all at one time, absolutely masses and masses of indexes with endless things that you can talk about with the game, and lots of people are really interested in that stuff, so it makes sense to work as hard as possible right now and do a whole bunch of index reviews and tier lists and talk about all the news and things when people are super interested. I'd definitely rather have too much to talk about rather than too little. If you want the actual answer to that, then it is kind of roughly accurate. I was getting around about 5 or 6 hours while the indexes were dropping out, but absolutely out of choice. I could certainly have eased back on the production a little bit, but seeing as YouTube is basically my job, it makes sense to hit the content absolutely as hard as I can when there's loads of interesting stuff to talk about. I see it as an absolutely worthwhile investment. Obviously that's not very sustainable and not very good for being particularly healthy in the long run. I'm definitely not going to keep up that sort of thing, and I've been a lot more back to normal recently. The main cause of that has just been hour to 2 hour long videos generally take a lot of time and effort to produce, even with my fairly basic PowerPoint slides and things, and I have been where possible trying to drop about one of those a day, whether it's a tier list, an index review, or some sort of big cross 40k analysis type thing. It's kind of funny that the videos often aren't the main issue, it's when other real life things happen around that, like social engagements that you've already committed to, and then Games Workshop drops a big index at the same time. Getting the Space Marine index done before going away for a weekend to play at a tournament was certainly quite big. That was probably the most painful one out of that week. Scheduled videos are the main way that I can afford to drop videos just about every single day. There are some days with other commitments I can't get to a computer and work, but it does mean that whenever they come up it does require a bit more work on the days before, as you need to get ahead a bit. As for another few comments in the thread, they were speculating whether or not I had production teams or anything like that. For the most part the videos do tend to be just me. I do have a fairly efficient process with making PowerPoint slides, though I have had a little bit of help with making the index reviews, mainly just copy and pasting a million datasheets. That has sped up production process a little bit, and has probably allowed me to get out another couple of indexes more than I would have otherwise. In any case, the thread was kind of interesting reading. I thought it was probably worth addressing as a channel update, just as there's often quite a lot of speculation down in the comments as well. At the end of the day, it is what works for me. I certainly don't mind working hard when it makes sense to. It's not every month that you get a whole new edition of Warhammer 40k and new rules for every single army to pore over. I think I'm well capable of not burning out as well. If I start to get in any way burnt out and making videos, there'll just be a few less of them, and I'll ease off the pedal a little bit, ready to come back hard after a bit more of a break, and a little bit less intense video production. At the end of the day, I'm just really grateful to you guys who are basically allowing me to do this as my main job. Talking about Warhammer on the internet is good fun, so a massive thank you to all you guys who are watching or supporting on Patreon or anything like that. I'll certainly try and keep the videos coming as often as I possibly can. Speaking of which, here's a quick breakdown of videos last month and this month. As mentioned, the 10th edition rules drop has been a fun but pretty busy time. Games Workshop really hasn't let up with their heavy bombardment of rules dropping. All of the index rules for the game came out, then points costs, Forge World rules, and even the first bits of errata with that designer's commentary, apparently with more coming out this week. It has been a challenge keeping up with all that, but I have enjoyed going through each index in turn. We're certainly a long way off finishing them, but I'm basically intending to keep going with index reviews and tier lists until we get one out for every single army in the game, in addition to any other interesting content and newsy stuff from Games Workshop. Other big projects in the past month were a 40k tier list of strongest armies in Warhammer 40k, plus a review of 10 of the strongest units, I've been quite enjoying the voting done by you guys to give me a rough idea of things there. I think that in the absence of some hard tournament data in the early stages of the edition, some community votes with maybe a little bit of tweaking are quite a good format for getting a rough gist of what sort of things are looking strong or weak for an army. Overall, between all the tier lists and indexes and things like that, it has been another record month in one way for the channel. More watch time for Auspex Tactics than any other month, even if slightly less views compared with when a whole bunch of 10th edition small newsy things were dropping. Definitely an exciting time to be making 40k content. For plans over the next few weeks, there should still be a few interesting things coming from Games Workshop. Sounds like we're going to be getting some sort of major errata to the game later this week, and also some model reveals for either Tyranids or Space Marines depending on who wins their global campaign. That should be the week after. Otherwise, still my main focus on the channel is probably going to be completing the remaining index reviews. We've still got another 10 or so left to do. I think I'm going to try and alternate between index review and tier list until we get through all the factions. Otherwise, should hopefully have a few more videos continuing in that How to Play Warhammer 40k series. I want to get that completed at least fairly early in the edition. I think it could be interesting to look at some early Warhammer 40k tournament data as well, once we do have a few weeks of results built up. Plenty to talk about still. I'm looking forward to another month of content made at a slightly more sustainable rates perhaps. Finally, for the news, we've got the channel giveaways. The July giveaway on the channel was for 3 copies to win basically a starter army for 40k 10th edition, £300 worth of models, and the winners for that I can now reveal are Smoshy, Stephen Stark, and Jared Walden. I messaged just literally before uploading this video, and Jared got back to me very quickly, choosing a bunch of Grey Knights. Should be good for some jumpy teleport shenanigans in 10th, I suppose. If the other two of you want to get in touch with me and let me know which miniatures you'd like, I'll get them ordered in and posted out to you. For the August one, I thought that rather than just concentrating the big prizes for a few people, we'd go for something useful for really quite a lot of people. This one's going to be a really quite big Combat Patrol giveaway. Your choice of Combat Patrol box, and there's going to be 10 different winners this time, so a whole bunch of packages flying out all over the world. Again, I thought that this one could be quite a nice one for a few more reinforcements with 10th edition inbound, perhaps particularly because there's that new Combat Patrol game mode. Would either be a way of getting some reinforcements or getting you a brand new Combat Patrol to play for that. This one's going to be a very big one, so 10 different winners, each of which can choose any one Combat Patrol box. And I thought that seeing as Games Workshop has just announced those 40k starter sets, we'd throw in the standard 40k starter set with the Space Marines versus the Tyranids in with that. Though obviously depending on release dates that might be a little bit delayed, I can only post them out as soon as I get them. As with normal with the channel giveaways, there's 2 different equal ways to enter, both of them links down in the video description. Either you can support the channel on Patreon for any amount, which is the main thing that allows me to invest all the time in making videos like this, and that gets you automatic entry into the giveaways every month. The other option for completely free entry is supporting via social media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the Facebook page, and then to actually enter the draw, you reply to a comment on the 1st of August, a giveaway post appears at basically midnight UK time, and then is active for the entirety of the 1st. Respond to that with a photo of any 40k mini or imagery, along with your name and the date handwritten within the photo. The last bit's just to combat Facebook bots and spammers and ensure the prizes go to real people. Then the draw is done with a random number generator, announced via a channel update video on YouTube on the 4th of August, basically the equivalent of this one, and then the miniatures will be dispatched in the post to wherever you are in the world when I receive them. There'll be further similar giveaways each month, and I'm sure that Games Workshop will keep some exciting stuff coming for us. Feel free to check out the Patreon page or the Facebook page, both are links down in the video description, if you'd like to enter or support in any way. Finally, while we're on the subject of that, I thought I'd just mention that there were some scammers active on the Facebook page giveaway this month. Occasionally they tend to respond to a few comments and then I just block them. You guys are usually very good with just reporting them to me. Though this time I must admit they were more prolific than usual, basically going down to virtually every single comment and messaging people telling them they'd won. It was all very disruptive and took a little while to clean through them all. They're easy enough to block when they're identified, but sometimes it can take me a few hours to get there. There is always a warning on the post saying not to trust any random people messaging you directly before this video comes out, but still it's a bit concerning when they're done at this kind of scale. Since then I have done a couple of things that should help a bit, and I know how to block certain keywords and phrases and things on Facebook that should at least stop them from posting the same thing multiple different times. That should help a little bit. I can also lock down the comments as well after the giveaway is finished, which I didn't know that you could do previously. And again, that should help get rid of things afterwards. Otherwise I'll just be keeping on blocking things. And a big thank you to all you guys who are getting in touch to report them to me. In any case, a massive thank you to all you guys who are watching, supporting, subscribing and commenting and all the rest. Looking forward to another busy month worth of 40k content on the channel. And as always, if you have any other suggestions for things you'd like to see differently on here, feel free to let me know down in the comments. Feel free to check out any of the links down in the video description below. There's the Facebook page and the Patreon, and a few other links for affiliates and things. Lots of ways to support if you'd like to. Otherwise though, I'll see you for future videos, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time.